little experience as a project manager, and I assumed I was going to transition to project manager role fully when I left school, but then I discovered product management different from project management. And because of my interest in tech, and also because I had failed as a developer, I had somehow failed as a designer. Just we all try all these things that we want to do, and then we now end up finding where we fit in. So I found where I fit in into the product management space, and I continued from there. So yeah, my career has brought me to work in the logistics space, in the ad tech space, also in e-commerce, and it's been interesting. And my focus more recently has been in the logistics space, right? Yeah. So I'm also a mom and a wife to the most caring man I know, which is David, and a mother to a beautiful 2-month-old. Her name is Hazel. In my spare time, I enjoy reading and writing short stories. That's what you find me doing when I can get any little time to myself these days, right? So let's move on to the breakdown of understanding Agile Product Management, which is the topic today. So, but before I continue, guys, please let me know if at any point my audio cuts off, or we're in Nigeria, so network can always choose to misbehave. I don't know if anybody can drop a chat or somehow just Blessing, please just somehow try and alert me if you guys are not hearing me clearly, if something goes wrong with the connection, so that I don't go on talking when I'm supposed to be communicating properly. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be looking at what Agile Product Management is, the basics of Agile Product Management. I know that we'll focus a lot on the history of Agile, the values, the principles, as well as the frameworks, the common frameworks. Then we'll also look a little bit into the problems that exist with Agile today. Another part of this conversation will be on the importance of Agile in our industry as of today, right? So why is it important to have an Agile mindset? Why is it important to have an Agile system or an Agile organization? Then lastly, we'll also look at how to implement Agile practically within your teams. Yeah. So a little bit of introduction. The term Agile, right? And there's a dictionary definition for Agile, and then there's what Agile is in the way we practice it today. Agile as a term or as a philosophy is something that has existed as far back as 1940s, right? But the term Agile wasn't as popular up until the 1990s. So way back then in the 1940s, we had systems like the iterative incremental development, we had evolutionary delivery, rapid application development, and these were just software development processes that were used by major teams, like the teams at NASA, the teams at IBM. They were using these frameworks, but it wasn't defined to be an Agile system then. It was just what they used to deliver their software, right? Even Kanban is as old as 1940s, yeah. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't until the 1990s that Agile became far more widespread. And the reason for this is because there was a lot of changes happening towards the 1990s, right? The 1990s was basically the time the internet came into being. So businesses were changing in their terms of operations, in how they were getting to their customers. The internet changed a whole lot. It brought a whole new era, right? And back then, there was a lot of bureaucracy involved in the older method of doing things or software development. There was a lot of documentation, a lot of going through bureaucracy in terms of there was just excessive paperwork before software was actually developed. So because of all these problems that the teams that were building software back then were experiencing, there was a need and a push for Agile methods. There was a need to change the way they were working as a team, and the way they were delivering products. So yeah, and like I said, also before this time, most organizations depended on a waterfall software development system. And we know what waterfall is like. Waterfall is just a system that entails, you lay out all the requirements before the development starts, and then you now push out your product in sequence, in a sequential process, basically. And that system works for hardware production, but it didn't work so well for software production, especially with the new times that were coming. And that was because users were showing interest in wanting to be part of the process of developing products that they would use. The customers were giving feedback, or wanted to keep giving feedback regularly, because they wanted to see how each feature came to life. You want to be part of the process of a product that is being built that you use on a daily basis. So because of this, the waterfall system failed terribly for software development. Like I said, it was good for hardware because there was the physical side of the production as well as the software side of the production. So yeah, this system did not work, like I said again, for software, and also with the emergence of new technologies coming in, there was just a need for a major change, right? And it wasn't, funny enough, it wasn't until the late 1995 that the term Agile actually came out and methods began to change. And one of the major pioneers that was leading this change was a man called Ken Schwaber. Ken Schwaber is the creator of the Scrum framework, right? And I think he presented a paper in 1995 that was pushing for a lot of change in how software teams were building and delivering their products. So before, or rather after 1995, it was in around 2001 that there was a major shift in how things were done, and then the Agile Manifesto, the Agile system came to be as a whole. And I mean, remember there was a conference that happened in Utah with a number of like 17 or so software practitioners that gathered and created what is now known as the Agile Manifesto, right? And Agile, let me describe Agile as an umbrella term for a bunch of frameworks. There's not one, there's not two, there's so many. There's feature-driven development, there's XP, there's Scrum, there's Kanban, there's Crystal, there's IDD. There are just so many frameworks that fall under the umbrella. Even Lean falls under the umbrella of the Agile Manifesto or the Agile Product Management System, right? And a number of these guys, the software guys that gathered in Utah in 2001, they were people that had already created their own systems of doing things. So they had their own methodologies already. So it was like a union of their different methodologies into this umbrella term of Agile. And this was something that would not serve as like a foundation for a lot of developer communities that are looking to adopt new ways of doing things. So yeah, they came together in 2001 and they debated what is known as the Agile Manifesto. And the focus of the Agile Manifesto are on 4 major values and about 12 or so principles. But we'll focus a lot more on the values because that's where the core of it is, right? If you look at the values of Agile Product Management, right, or Agile Manifesto, let me not call it Agile Product Management, Agile Manifesto, the principles, the values pay attention to 4 key points, which is flexible planning systems, efficient communication, having a short feedback loop, and having an adaptive cycle. That's the 4 pillars of what Agile should be like and what Agile is expected to be like in your own organization or in your business. And except from the author that from agilemanifesto.com or rather .org says, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. So through this work, we've come to value these 4 things. First and foremost, individuals and interaction over processes and tools. So the Agile mindset, the Agile methodology focuses a whole lot on the individuals that function in these software teams, the interactions that they have within themselves and within external teams that depend on them to deliver software. So this is priority over, the older system of having a set process, like you must do things this particular way, you must use this particular tool that the company has provided for you. Whether it's working for you as an individual or not, just do it like this because this is how business is being done. Another focus is also on the working software over comprehensive documentation. So Agile wants to know that Agile wants to know that there's productivity happening to the point that customers have a working software with them and they are able to give us their feedback regularly on this working software. This is what we value in the Agile methods over comprehensive documentation. Yes, documentation is good. We value documentation as well because it guides it guides what people will do. But the main focus should be on getting your software out into people's hands or into your users' hands as quickly and as efficiently as you can get it out. Another thing that we value is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So if you remember how businesses were done before the boom of the internet, I would say salesmen would go round, looking for people to buy a product or buy a service. And then they enter into a contract with these people that are going to buy it. Whatever is stated in that contract is what is going to be until the contract is renewed. So they just keep, they commit you to a particular thing. Even if your need changes, they are not aware of this. They're not trying to meet that new need you have. You've been committed to this particular contract up until it changes or it's being renewed. But now we want to focus more on customer collaboration. We bring our customers into the process early enough to hear that this is what they want, this is how they want it, these are the problems they are facing, this is how we can solve the issues. And you get your software also out to your customer as quickly as possible in the smallest version that you can to test out the functionality so that the customer can give you feedback on, does this work? Does this not work? Is there something that was missed or not? Another thing is also responding to change over following a plan. And this kind of ties into the comprehensive documentation. Before the Agile manifesto was pushed as much as it is right now, a lot of products, a lot of software was built based off on a plan, and it still is, but these plans should not be hard-coded. They should not be rigid, right? You need to be flexible because market changes, people change, your users will change like regularly. Your market will change. It takes one thing to come into the market to disrupt it completely. So if you're adopting an agile system and if you're being an agile product manager, you need to be able to respond to these changes. You need to be flexible. Yes, have a plan to guide your process, but also be able to respond to change, be flexible enough to respond to change rather. So like I said, why we see that there's value in the items on the right, we also value the items that are listed on the left more than this. This is where the focus is. That's why it's the core values of the agile system. Then moving on to the principles. The principles are many, so I just put down the link there for you to find more of them. But I'll take like the first 4 and let's just discuss on that one. So the first one is the highest priority, which is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software, which is what I said earlier, that if you're adopting an agile mindset, your focus is to get your software out regularly, iteratively to your customer, because that's the best way for you to get constant feedback and to know that you're delivering value regularly. Another thing is welcoming changing requirements, even late in development, because it's pointless for you to spend a lot of effort, a lot of time to develop something that when you bring it out to market, it's not what the user needs anymore. It's how do I put it? It's basically obsolete. They've moved on from this. So you need to be able to adapt. You need to welcome the changes, right? Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage so that you stay winning in what you're doing. It's also very important to deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with a preference to the shorter time scale. So a lot of companies used to not have releases for their software for like months. When it comes to hardware, yes, it's possible there, but when it comes to software, if you're getting regular feedback, you would be having updates, you would be making changes to how things are being done, because even you internally, your processes are changing. So how do you expect that externally the customer's needs and the way you're delivering or the software you're delivering is not going to change? Changes will occur. So it's a principle that we deliver working software frequently, from a couple of months to a couple of weeks rather to a couple of months. And also Agile pushes for business people and developers to work together daily. This is one light bulb moment in the Agile system, because initially a lot of teams used to work in silos. They'll just get requirements from the business guys and they may not even understand fully what these requirements are, but they go ahead and just build based off of the literal statements in the requirements. But now it's a system that entails whoever is the business person that is getting this getting information from customers needs to work closely with the developers, right, on a daily basis throughout the project, so that you're sure that what is being built, the functionality of how it's being built, is in line with what people requested, or is in line with what your customer needs, what your user needs. So it's very important that business teams and developers and designers, engineers all work together throughout the project, right? So yeah, like I said before, there's Agile, the mindset, and then there's Agile, what it means to be, flexible or to be able to change. Because if you look at the dictionary definition of Agile, it's something about being able to move quickly, being able to change, being able to adapt to systems. You have an Agile mindset if you're able to change and adapt to systems. So one thing we should notice that it's not how do I put it? It's not hard-coded that if you're not following a particular set of rules, or if you're not following a particular framework, then you're not really doing Agile. If you don't follow Scrum word for word, you do daily stand-ups, do Scrum reviews, do retrospective word for word, then you're not doing Agile. That's not the reality of things. What Agile really means is for you to adopt a flexible mindset, right? And continuously seek ways to improve how your work is done. within your team, outside your team. It's a mindset more than it is a framework, right, or a set of rules. That's what I would say. So we can move on to the common methods of, or the common frameworks within the Agile system. I'll start off with Lean. Yes. So Lean, Lean is a defined system, right? And really, what Lean software development means is just that you're able to eliminate waste, you're able to ensure quality, you're able to create knowledge, right? So Lean applies the Lean manufacturing principles and practices to software development. Because if you study up on Lean, Lean dates back to when Toyota was trying to improve its system of producing cars. I think Toyota is a Japanese brand, so it's a Japanese, Japanese or one of these Asian countries. I'm not sure which one. But one of these Asian countries that produced Toyota, they were trying to optimize their system, how they were doing things, and that's when they bettered the Lean product, or the Lean, this is Lean manufacturing system. And what it entailed was that they wanted to reduce their waste, they wanted to ensure they were producing quality items, and they wanted to optimize the process as a whole. So yeah, what the focus is in Lean is to collaborate and deliver a minimum viable product, right? And once that product is released, teams gather customer feedback and then applies those insights into new product iterations. In the Lean system, they've defined what the MVP is, right? We know what MVP means, not generally. They define what the MVP is. The focus now is on how to achieve that MVP as fast as possible without, using resources that could be saved, and ensuring that the quality is top notch. Once you get it out there, once you produce this MVP, you get it out there, you get your teams to gather feedback on it, and then you keep iterating on that product that's already out there. That's what the Lean software system is really about. Then the feature-driven development system. It's a model-driven methodology, right, that is intended for larger teams. So under the feature-driven development system, it's more minute in the sense that there's an overall model, there's a list of features that we want to build. So we plan now to build depending on the features. We design by the features, we build by the features. So we want to do this, we do this one first before we do something else. When we do this one, push it out there, we get feedback, we move on to the next one, push it out there. It's just based off of what your feature list says, and then you deliver software according to what your feature list is showing. Then under extreme programming, extreme programming is a very technical way of doing things, right? That works a lot with engineers. And what happens here is that the team comes together. It's folks, teams that staying in the same area, that they're co-located. That's the term. Teams come together, they sit together, they pair their programming together, they do first test programming together, they do the integration together. They do everything step by step together. Collective ownership, there's incremental design. So, like I said, it's intended for small co-located teams that are working with dynamically changing software. So extreme programming is an option to under the Agile framework. Then we go on to Kanban. Kanban is probably the second most popular, if I want to rate it anyway, second most popular Agile method after Scrum, or after Scrum and Lean, let me say. So it will be the third. And also Kanban is of Japanese origin. I think the meaning of the word Kanban is like visual signal, right? Yeah, I think that's what it means. So Kanban is really a method that entails continuous delivery, but in a visual system, right? So this way, the way Kanban works is that you have a Kanban board, and then you're able to pull your tickets. You're able to pull cards from your Kanban board left-hand side to the right-hand side. When you have a Kanban board, the structure is really things listed that have not been done, things that are currently in progress, things that are going to be done next, or things that are currently, like I said, things that are already in progress, things that are going to be, let me say, maybe pre-release, and then things that are done completely. So it's just visually putting out your work on a board. It could be now this is more of a virtual board than a physical board. But when it started, it was obviously more of a physical board. You put things on a physical board. Every single task you have, you put them on a physical board. And then you pull things from one side of the board to another as they are getting done. Right. And you also only have to pull things when you have the bandwidth for it. That's the difference between, I think that's even the major difference between Kanban and Scrum. because in Scrum, they just assign you a bunch of, work at a time, and you're expected to, or the idea is that you have the bandwidth for all this to get done within a time frame, maybe the 2 weeks time frame or a 1 month time frame. But with the Kanban, there's no time constraint. Whenever you're available to pick up a new ticket, you pick up a new ticket and move it on. So yeah, if you can see the Kanban board now, you can see the column that represents work that is not yet started, column that represents work that is in progress, and column that represents things that are done. So the cards are usually made up of user stories, which are the tasks that need to get done. Some teams can be more technical and just write out the tasks exactly, but mostly you're encouraged to use user stories, right? And present it as the cards on the board. Then you monitor the progress of these tasks. You monitor the progress of the task collaboratively until the team's definition of done is met. So really the goal of Kanban is for you to be able to see all the work that is pending and the stages that the work will go through before it gets completed. That's what Kanban does for you. It gives you that visual signal, or that visual appeal, where you can see work as moving and all the stages that it needs to move through for it to get done. So like I said again, your Kanban board needs to be per user story, per task, so that it doesn't become, how do I put it rather, or when you're creating user stories, it needs to be sufficient enough that it doesn't contain what 3 people will do into one ticket. You need to break it down properly. And it also shouldn't be so small, like you now start writing open laptop. I don't know, it cannot be that minute, basically. It needs to be a detailed task. Yeah, so that's what Kanban does for you. So moving on to Scrum. Scrum is the one framework we all seem to be using in our offices and in our companies and wherever. So Scrum is really Scrum, like I said, was vetted by Ken Schwaber back in 1995, and I think he pushed for its popularization into the 2000s rather. And it's definitely one of the most defined agile method that there is, because it comes with its own developed processes and tools, right? It's also very much an iterative and incremental system. And its core pillars are transparency, inspection, adaptation. And it's all done collectively by the Scrum team. So in Scrum, the teams work in a time box, time frame of 2 weeks or 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks at most, sprints, and they follow the Scrum ceremonies. There are 4 major Scrum ceremonies: the sprint planning, the daily Scrum, the sprint review, the sprint retrospective, right? So these ceremonies, really what they do is to help the team stay aligned and ensure that the team is continuously improving. And this continuous improvement should lead to delivering value to the customer at a sustainable pace. That's the hope that we have in Scrum. In Scrum, we also have a defined team structure, like I said, with stated roles. However, the teams are encouraged to make major decisions together in order to foster the collaboration. In order to foster collaboration generally and a joint sense of ownership, you encourage teams to make their decisions together, even though there's a structure to it. And there's no hierarchy in the Scrum team. That's something important to know. There's no, maybe some people have the assumption that the Scrum Master is the leader of the team. Yes, the leader, but what does it mean to lead? To lead is to serve. So you're basically serving everybody in the team. You're just the guide for everyone in the team, right? Before we go into these rules, let me highlight a few of the Scrum concepts that exist, right? So we have concepts like increments. What does it mean to say an increment? An increment is a Scrum artifact, and it just defines the usable functionality that will be delivered to a customer. So what is the list of all the things that are coming out of this sprint? Okay, out of the sprint now, users can do this and that, do this and that. That's the increment of that sprint. That's what an increment means. Then you talk about product backlog, which is a collection of the features and ideas that are designated as valuable to implement, but are yet to be worked on. So your product backlog is all the things you want to do for this product. A sprint, like I said, is a fixed length period, usually 2 weeks. Usually, some people do 4 weeks for a sprint. That's a whole month, and is a time set aside for the team to actually do the work that is needed to push out new software. Then the Scrum ceremonies are just a number of events that help hold the structure of Scrum as a whole. And these are things that you also need to do to help you guide, because they're just guidelines, right? These are things you need to do to serve as a guideline. So one of it is sprint planning. And what happens in the sprint planning meeting is the Scrum Master, the product owner, the Scrum team gather together to identify the work that they want to move from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. Meaning this is the work they want to do this next 2 weeks. I'm going to be using 2 weeks here because 4 weeks is a stretch really. So here the team is going to decide on how many tasks can they accomplish together, who is going to be in charge of accomplishing this task. Everybody commits to doing a bunch of work that is going to be assigned to them. That's what the sprint planning meeting or the ceremony is for. Then the daily scrum is really the stand-ups that we know about, right? Daily stand-ups where everybody comes together and talks about what they've done recently, what they have next on their plates, what is being a blocker to them, where they have troubles. And the recommendation for daily scrum is to keep it within 15 minutes. If you're doing stand-up more than 15 minutes, you're stressing your team members. Please keep your stand-ups to under 15 minutes. Everybody shares, okay, have I done this? I've done all this. What's next for me? This is what's next for me. Do I have a blocker here? This is where I have a blocker. And then it's up to the product owner and the scrum master to go back and help resolve whatever blockers exist. Then the sprint review. Sprint review is a meeting for reviewing the work done at the end of the sprint. So you want to check out the quality of the work done. Does it match the acceptance criteria we set for it? The software we're about to push out now, the increments we're about to push out now, is it what we want to push out? Is it quality work? That's what you're doing in the sprint review. When you assess and decide according to the team, it's a team effort anyway. So once the team decides and says, okay, this is good to go, then you can go ahead and release or publish whatever you worked on. It's also a space where teams share demos, right? Because you need to show your team members what has been accomplished generally. Then the sprint retrospective. Retrospective is kind of like a sprint review, but the focus here is for assessing the workflow within members of the team. How is everybody relating with everybody? What is the interpersonal relationship like to members? So what went well in terms of our communication, in terms of our collaboration? What didn't go so well? Why didn't that thing go so well? How can we improve it? What are the next steps? These are the things you're doing and identifying during your sprint retrospective. So yeah, moving on to the Scrum team roles. We have the Scrum Master role, and like I said earlier, the Scrum Master is more or less a leader in the Scrum team, and your position as the Scrum Master is really to guide the team, right? To guide the team and connect them to necessary resources that would help them get work done, and to also remove any blockers that team members will have. That's your work as a Scrum Master. You're not the one that is deciding everything or anything. It's a joint effort of the team to decide, but you guide the team and then, be there to provide resources that are necessary for them to get work done. Another role is the Scrum product owner or the product manager. So this product manager, product owner is used interchangeably in a lot of places, just in larger teams where they have proper structure. That's where they break out and separate product owner versus product manager. But yeah, the main term is the product owner. So what the product owner is doing is to ensure that the development team is working on what is needed to be worked on, right? You're also there as the voice of the customer, the voice of the business as well. You as the product owner or the product manager in your team, and you're presenting the product vision to the work that is being done, so that everybody is in line. Everybody's in line to get out to achieve the product vision or to achieve the product goals. You're the person reminding them, oh, this is really the user's pain points. This is really what the business is trying to achieve with this feature or with this initiative. Yeah, so that's really okay. There's a Scrum team. Sorry, the Scrum team is basically made up of everyone in the Scrum team, of course. Is the folks that deliver. So this is more or less the engineers, the QA guys, the designers, UX designers, UI designers, and even to an extent the product marketers. If product marketers are in your team, so everybody that is going to be delivering work is made up in the Scrum team. It's a defined role for them. And I like to add the stakeholders, because your stakeholders influence what is being done in the first place. So it's good that they are a part of it, even though they are not necessarily following all these they're not joining all the meetings the Scrum team has, and they're not getting the work done, but it's good to have their insights on on the side. Yeah, so that's really what the Scrum team structure looks like. So yeah, the next slide is on the pie chart that just shows the percentages of Scrum, the percentage of Agile software development being broken down into how it is in real life, right? And this statistic is from version 1's 14th annual statistics of Agile reports, and just shows that 58% of organizations, companies, businesses practice Scrum, 10% practice what is called Scrumban. So Scrumban is a combination of Scrum and Kanban, which just means that they're practicing Scrum, but then they have a visual Kanban board on the side. 9% goes to other hybrid methods, because there are variations of these things across different companies. It's not just Scrumban that's a variation. There's also Scrum XP. There's other variations that any company might choose to practice. The main point is that they have an agile mindset as they're approaching their work. So there are certain problems that the agile system faces today, right, that you're likely to face if you're practicing an agile system. And a number of it is just things like teams end up, or a lot of teams find that they end up solving problems during their daily stand-ups. Now, the stand-up meeting, like I said, is supposed to be something you keep under 15 minutes. And it turns out that because we're not able to anticipate all the problems that are likely to come up, at the point of identifying a blocker is where some people end up trying to solution for that blocker or try to solve for that blocker, right? So it defeats the purpose of having a daily Scrum if you're gathering people, especially designers, engineers that do not really enjoy being in meetings naturally. You're gathering them into meetings regularly to come and discuss and try to solve whatever problem it is that you've identified as a blocker. That's really where the Scrum Master and the product owner comes in to eliminate such problems. Another thing too is that some people, a lot of times when a new team is starting, the velocity or the capacity of the team is not known, right? So people can overestimate. You can assume that it's going to take me maybe a day to get this task done. But when you actually start getting to work on the task, you will not find that, oh, this task has a dependency on another team. I cannot do this without this permission or something like that. So it stretched out more than the time you've estimated. And then that just means that as a team, you guys didn't really know, and you took on way more work than you can deliver within an iteration. Another thing too that is a problem is adding stories to an iteration, and this is something that me as a PM, I fight it every day. Every single day we are running a sprint, I'm fighting the fact that somebody wants to bring, oh, this is something, and sometimes there are things that disrupt your business flow, you disrupt your operations as a company that you actually have to pause other things and focus on. But the idea of Scrum as a whole is ruthless prioritization, right? So you focus on what you're supposed to be doing and not adding something because, oh, it's affecting this team. You need to add it and try and, get it done with. It defeats the purpose of scooping out work to begin into a sprint in the first place. Another thing that happens with Scrum to be noticed is that there's always a buildup of technical debt. And that's because you want to focus on doing this thing. After doing this thing, your team now wants to focus on doing another thing. But this other thing that you deprioritized, it's just they're piling up. Other things are meeting it. It's just they're building technical debt for the team. So yeah, there are problems with the Agile method, but I would say that the benefits of the Agile method outweigh the problems that exist, especially when you're able to identify problems early enough to tackle them. So moving on to why Agile is important to do, which is really just the benefits of the Agile system. Let me do a little quick check. Can we still hear me? Because I've been talking for a long period of time and I didn't.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, like I'll say, the benefits are a number, but I think I highlighted just 4 or 5 here. And how do I sell this now? The benefits definitely, like I said, outweigh the problems. And for today's tech world, for today's industry, it's necessary for you to be, one, transparent when you're operating in an agile system. You need to be transparent with your team members. And transparency has different ways it comes out, right? It comes out in you documenting how work is going. And not just documenting it, but giving the rest of the team, even the non-technical teams that exist in your organization, giving them access to these documents so they can see what work you guys are actually doing, the current status of the work, what was the field experiments that you guys carried out? The people will learn from all these things, this information. They will know how things are operating and understand what the technology is that your team is building, as opposed to just being, oh, I'm sales team or their marketing team or their operations team. They don't really do, or their customer support team. They don't really need to know all this. They actually do need to know these things, because a number of times these people assume that you are not even doing anything when they have problems. Like if customer support is having problems and they're reaching out to the tech team, and tech team is taking so long to answer them, to assume you are not, doing something. But there's a whole lot that's getting done behind that you don't see. So this visibility into your team's work is something that is needed to improve the agile method, or to improve the agile mindset that they have as a whole in your organization. And also the second one will be greater adaptability, right? Because agile teams do not fear change, right? They embrace it instead. So adopting an agile mindset means that your product, your organization as a whole is able to adapt to any changes that occur at any point in time. So teams here in the agile system are encouraged to break down their work into smaller chunks and then tackle it in kind. So this ability to be flexible makes it easier to adapt quickly when changes occur in the market. And it also gives teams an opportunity to incorporate customer feedback early and often, right? So your product is, evolving as the times are evolving, and that's an essential thing. Another really good benefit of the agile system is that it reduces waste. It reduces the risk opportunity, the risk that exists rather. So when you compare it to the waterfall system, agile systems reduce waste in time, in effort, in money. Because if you look at waterfall, they set up plans ahead, like way before development happens, and then they commit to those plans. Like they've budgeted how much is going to go into this, how much resources we'll need in terms of man hand or man hours or whatever. And it's not flexible. And then how do I put it? It's not flexible to any little change that may occur, right? If I don't want to be negative, but if something goes wrong, your hardcore plan in the waterfall system is what they are going to try to stick to, right? And you commit a lot of capital to a particular project or a particular product development. And by the time you've taken 6-7 months to produce it, or to develop and produce it, you get it into the hand of the customer and you find out that that's not what he wants. All that time, all that efforts, all that resources is wasted. But in an agile system where you're bringing in your customers early enough, there's no way you're going to be having that much waste in comparison, because you're able to adapt to the changes that are coming from users, adapt to the changes that are coming from the market. And you're also delivering at that time what is most needed to your customers. And that just increases the opportunity for success in business work, because you're giving them what they actually need at that time. You're basically cutting off the market share into your organization. So another good benefit of the agile system is that teams are motivated in the agile system. It's obvious that when you give people autonomy to collaborate, to prioritize their work, to assess their progress themselves, it's just a mental boost when they know that they have a say in how the work is getting done. It's not rigid processes and tools that we have to follow. It's not mindless work. People are actually putting their mind, putting their creativity, into delivering the work that they deliver. So overall, there's just an improved value delivery system with the agile framework, and that's what you need in today's industry, today's economy. So the last part of this conversation will be on how to implement agile. So there's a little noise I'm hearing. I don't know what's okay. Okay. So how to implement the agile system? Please, if your what's it called, mic is on, please mute, because I can hear a little noise in the background. And how do you implement an agile system? First and foremost, you want to implement an agile system, meaning you've done the assessment to say, okay, my company, my organization, my business should adopt an agile mindset and adopt an agile method entirely. Because it's even one of the principles of the agile system. You're not building a solution. You're not building this product or company in a solution. You need to get your stakeholders to buy into the idea. Agile emphasizes collaboration among the project team, among the customers, project team and customers, and other key stakeholders, people that are sponsoring your projects, or whatever vendors you have as a business, they need to know what you're about to do and what it means that what it means to be agile. Everybody needs to be on board before you begin. You need to talk to your key players, explain what the benefits are, answer any questions and concerns they may have, get them excited to adopt an agile mindset. Then the second step I would say is to start with one project. Don't just go around and say, okay, especially if you're like a company that has multiple products, right? You go outside and say, oh, we're going agile today as the CEO or as the product lead, head of product, whatever you are. Go outside and say, oh, we're going agile today, and you expect every single team to just start doing agile based off of one document you give them to read or something. It's not the best way to approach it, right? It's better you start with one project because you want to see how people will respond to it. And this is the type of people that are going to easily assimilate the knowledge that comes or the mindset that comes with being in an agile environment, or are they different to it? So you want to start with one project and see how it delivers for you in that project. Focus on being iterative. Iterative is that you've done this, you've done this, you've pushed it out there, you've gotten feedback, you've built up based off of your feedback to release another thing. So the best way to implement Agile across your whole organization is always to start with one small project, assess the feedback you get, then you can now begin to apply it to the other project as you go. The third step I would say is to focus on empowering and motivating your team. As you can see, it's already fully in an Agile mind. You need to empower the team that is going to be implementing this system, whatever system it is, be it Kanban, be it Scrum, be it whatever. And the projects in Agile, they rely a lot on team members' communication, collaboration, and ability to solve problems. So if your team is not engaged and motivated, your Agile approach will not be successful. They need to be aware, understand properly what it means to be Agile. They need to be excited to do Agile, and give them that autonomy, give them that space to go out there, collaborate, and solve the problems that they have to solve. It's a key principle of Agile to build projects around motivated individuals, people that know how to motivate themselves and know how to be motivated. You're there to provide support as their lead and trust them to get the job done. Because if you're now coming to micromanage, you're defeating the whole purpose. The team should be able to manage itself, right? And they surface feedback to you regularly. Then lastly, I would say choose a particular framework and stick with that framework. When I say choose and stick with it, is that I give it time to actually show you the results it can bring. Don't do Scrum 1 month, move on, do Kanban the next month. You're not giving it time. You're not even giving your team time to understand properly what this is supposed to be like. Because I don't say people fail at the first try, but chances are they're not going to get it at the first try. So you need to give it time, maybe 3 months, and see how it works, see how the feedback comes in. And if it's working good for you, stick with it. Or if it's not working, you change to another framework of your choice or of your interest, right? Because Agile introduces significant changes in the way your team used to do things versus how they're going to be doing things now. So it's important that you select one and stick to it. And sticking to it is sticking to it properly. I wouldn't say be too rigid, but stick to it properly. Try out all the rules that comes with a particular framework. For example, Scrum, and the Scrum frameworks entails that you have daily Scrums, right? That's meet meet for check-ins every day. So you can what's the word? You can change things but not disrupt things, in the sense that your team may choose to not be meeting every single day, but at least you should meet maybe 3 times in a week to have your stand-ups, because that's the process that is expected to get Scrum working for you. So you need to have all these things, all the steps and all these rules followed as much as possible, but always be sure to adapt it to what you guys need. Then lastly, I would say revise and adjust, which is what I've explained before. So if you see it's working for you, awesome, keep at it. If you don't think it's working for you and you implement it, whatever framework whatever framework you implement, please go back, assess, choose another one and move on. A key part of the Agile system is to hold retrospective, right? Understand what's working, what is not working, and make improvement based off of that. That's the key part of the Agile system. So always keep that in mind when you're adopting agile methodologies in your company. I think, yeah, that's most of what I have to say today. A key takeaway from this conversation is that agile is more of a mindset than it is a what's it called, a practice. Oh no, not practice, it's more of a mindset than it is a system or a hard-coded way of doing things. You adopt the mindset of regularly talking to your customers. You adopt the mindset of, delivering work in iterations. You adopt the mindset of being able to change, adapting to change, responding to the change that happens outside and both internally. And you learn from your users in order to reduce waste. Yeah, that's the most of my presentation today. I'm on track with time, right? This is 6:55. So I will be taking questions, any comments and feedback right now. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very, very much. You did amazing to the topic. And I believe that, everyone can actually understand from the way you broke it down into simple, understandable process, right? So we have lots of hands raised. So I would just okay, let's just get right into it immediately. Let's have Tajuddin Olaiton. You're raising your hand. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, thank you, Blessing. I must say the delivery was very apt. Thank you very much for delivering that piece of Agile framework. Yeah, I just have a clarification, or can I say a question? Yeah, about the Agile. You talked about being flexible, in that space. So I would like to ask, in an Agile environment, do you have a determined budget for your project? If that's a yes, if there's going to be a change and probably you're working with a client that are working on a lean budget, and you come up with maybe a variation or a change or that, and they are not willing to take that. So how does Agile framework or Agile environment address that kind of change? Yeah, that was my question.
All right, Taju, right? I was about to say Taju. So if I understand your question properly, you're asking if when working in an Agile project or with an Agile project, there's a change in the budget, right? But then the clients you work for use a lean system and they don't have the bandwidth to accept changes. How do you approach that, right?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So these things happen, like you said, they happen occasionally. But what advice I would give to whoever the project lead for that project is to get your major stakeholders to buy into the reason for the change, right? The change is beyond your control. Budget either has to increase or decrease. You're now trying to get your clients to buy into this. So you're selling them or you're presenting to them the negative effect as to what will happen if you go ahead and produce whatever you're producing or run that project. How do I put it? Run that project with the budget that you currently have that they're not flexible to change with. And even normally when you're planning for a project, right, there are different types of budgets. There's something called an overestimated budget. I don't remember the terms for this, but there's an overestimated budget, there's underestimated budget, and there's what you expect the exact budget to be. A lot of times teams work with an overestimated budget. Like the project lead knows that if push comes to shove, this is probably how much that is going to be the highest we need to get this done. Right. So you can also adopt that system of presenting that to clients, the different stages of your budget. And then another thing is to prioritize ruthlessly. If the pushback coming from the client is still very hard and there's probably no resources to get it done while you're asking for more, I would say try and cut down certain things from the project that maybe were nice to have, right? So things that that the project can function and thrive without, try and cut it down, try and reduce your but I don't want to say reduce your functionality, but reduce what you're supposed to deliver on to meet what you have in terms of resources to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's have Prince Ubochi. Ubochi, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you, Lydia, so far. It was a very insightful session. So my question is, I want to know if there's a kind of minimum or maximum number of persons to be in a Scrum team, and I wanted to explain or clarify more on one of the Scrum concept, increment, right? The third question, please, and why you specifically uh, want to talk about product management. It sounded like maybe there's a kind of difference between project management and product management. So I want to get these clarifications and answers to my questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prince. We'll take this one by one, right? The first question is the limit in terms of maximum or minimum in a Scrum team. So I think officially the Scrum team is expected to not be more than 10 persons. That's the entire product manager, designers, engineers, QA guys, everybody in the whole Scrum team shouldn't be more than 10 persons, right? That's what is stated out there. But I would say if 11 works for your team, go ahead and have 10, 11 people in the Scrum team. It depends on you, you you as a product manager, as a product owner, and as a Scrum team as a whole to determine what works for you guys. If you guys are up to 3 in the Scrum team and it's working, fine, let it work. If you guys are up to 11, 12, 13, let it work. If it's not chaotic and if the large numbers is not chaotic, then there's no need, I would say, to be breaking into separate Scrum teams. But that's what it's stated officially. I think it's 8 to 10 people maximum is what is expected. Then your second question, please remind me what the second question is again.
Okay, the second question is on explain more of what the Scrum concept increment means. Yeah.
Okay, so increments means what you're adding to what exists, right? An increase, basically. So, for example, the MVP of a product is out, and customers are using it, users are using it, they're providing feedback. Your next iteration, right? You identify all the functionalities that the next release is going to come with. So maybe this new release now, the user can sign in with more than Google account. They can sign in with their Facebook account, for example. They can do all the functionalities that are coming into a release is what the increment means. So when you're about to release a new version of a product, the new list of functionalities that exist now that didn't exist before is what an increment means. Cool? Prince, can you hear me?
Is Prince there?
You're mute if you're speaking, Prince. Okay, I think maybe he's not there again.
Yeah, I guess so too. All right, let's have Olaoluwa Ogunleye quickly, please. Olaoluwa Ogunleye, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I want to know, you're talking about Scrum team, and I know that we need a Scrum master in the Scrum team and a product owner, right? So apart from you being a manager, a product manager, do you have a Scrum team? Do you have a Scrum team and or do you have a Scrum master rather than a product owner? I understand that product managers actually do a lot of work apart from them working with the Scrum team. So they have other teams they're working with, the marketing, other important teams. So do you have a Scrum master working with you and a product owner? That's number one. Number two, you were telling the last person that it's like I didn't get that part very well. Like the person can have like 11 or even 13 if it's working for the person. But don't you think that it's going to affect the productivity or affect communication? And
So So
Okay,
yeah,
you can.
let's take the questions one by one so that I don't have to be asking you to recite
Uh,
or recall them. So let me address the second one. Like I said, is what works for your team. If you think it's working for your team, you guys are able to collaborate easily, being 11 on a team, then continue that way. That's what I would say. Because if you want to break out the team now, it might become, when you break it out, it might become something that you don't have maybe another product manager. I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. A lot of startup companies do not have more than one PM working with them at a time. You get, it's when they keep growing that they start getting more product owners or more product managers. So you splitting yourself to exist into two scrum teams may not be ideal. You may have more engineers, you may have 5 6 engineers and 4 5 designers while you're the only product manager there. If it gets chaotic, I would advise you, yes, go ahead and separate the scrum teams. But if it doesn't get, noisy and chaotic within that kind of environment, then continue if it's working. That's why I said if it's working. So your first question about what is your first question about again? Sorry.
My first question is this: do you work with a product owner and a Scrum master? It's possible you work with Scrum master, but do you have another product owner since you're a product manager?
Yeah. So when I started, yeah, I've worked with a Scrum master before, but more recently now, I function as a product manager, as a product owner, as a Scrum master. That's the reality with Nigerian companies that are hiring, right? A lot
Okay.
of times, and we don't have a lot of Scrum masters in this industry yet. In Nigeria, at least, maybe in other countries they do, but in Nigeria we don't have a lot of Scrum masters. So a lot of times they hire product managers and expect you to function as a Scrum master, as a product owner, and it is doable. It's a lot of work, but it is doable. But yeah, there's a scrum master in the chat box. Okay, we know you're a scrum master. That's awesome. So if there's no scrum master on your team, it falls onto you as a product manager to do the scrum master work. Yeah, it's not the ideal situation, but it happens.
Okay. But do you think that we can have a product owner, a Scrum master, and a product manager in the team?
Yes, you can have a product manager, a
Okay.
product a scrum either a product owner or a product manager, and then a scrum master. I wouldn't say you should have all three. Some teams abroad have all three. They have a product manager, they have a product owner, they have a scrum master. At that point now, the product owner is now more focused on just making sure work is getting done, while the product manager is doing the work of liaising with customers, liaising with other departments to surface what the needs are. So in bigger organizations, they have it broken down properly, but that's not
Okay.
always the case.
All right. My last
Yeah.
question. Sorry, I actually have a lot of questions, but because of time, I we're talking about Scrum because I realized from Scrum Alliance that the developers, because it seems like you're adding other people to the Scrum team, but what I've noticed is that the developers, the Scrum master, and the product owner are the main people in the Scrum team. Okay, and on the Scrum team actually have same thing for Scrum.org, but the Scrum team have daily stand up where they talk about what happened yesterday, what the challenges, and what they intend to do today. Would you advise that the product owner is in the daily stand up? Because I realized as a Scrum master that it's also a status meeting when the product owner is there. It's more like wants to know. Sometimes they can't just audit; they just want to say what's on their mind or contribute. Whereas it's supposed to be for the developers to actually have their meeting. And so, okay, let me just put it that way. So, would you advise they are there? I mean, because some of them are actually there because they want to know what's going on. So, what's your own take on this?
So I think it's okay, in my opinion. It's okay for the product owners to be in daily scrum meetings, and the reason is because a lot of times when people are trying to get progress report on how a product is going or how a project is going, they are not contacting the developers directly. They are contacting the product owner or the product manager. The CEO is going to be on you. Your head of product is going to be, is you they are asking about how this thing is getting done, what is done. A lot of times, when you look at it in reality, your head of products, your CEOs, they are not really coming to look at your Kanban board or to look at your Jira board or wherever you are tracking progress to see what has been done. They probably have weekly syncs with the product manager or the product owner to get updates on what's being done. So if the product owner is not in those meetings to know, then it's going to be more difficult for them to be going, oh, let me go and look at a list of all the things that are done now. Okay, this thing is not yet done. I thought it was done. Or,
Okay.
it's
But
easier for them to be in these meetings and get that feedback.
okay. But don't you think sprint planning can work in that area? And then we have the sprint refinement, which is not done by the whole team as per the scrum master and the product owner, ensuring that the list the backlog is prioritized properly. So don't you think the two should I call okay two of events now actually do justice to that instead of the product owner being the meeting?
So the, what's it called? The sprint review does that. Yes, like you said, it shows the amount of work that has been accomplished. But another
I'm
reason
saying
why
sprint planning
no
like
sprint
before.
sprint planning is not where work done is being surfaced. Sprint planning is where you're committing to a set of work for a sprint, right?
Yes, yes. I'm saying that arranging it, knowing what they want to do for that sprint. Because the whole essence of we having this Scrum Master is that we don't want anybody to disturb the development team. So we want them to focus on what they need to do. So at the beginning, with the sprint plan, it's expected that the product owner has given them rather what they're supposed to do for that 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So he's not supposed to, in that sense, think about, oh, are they doing it properly? They're just supposed to come and show him the demo at the end of 2 weeks.
So that's also possible. And the other reason why I would chip in them being on those daily scrum or daily stand-up meetings would be to assist with blockers, right? Generally, it's the scrum master's duty to help how do I put it, to help help the team walk through any blockers they have. But a lot of times too, product owners, product managers bring insights, they bring clarity because they are the ones that actually heard from the customers. So they bring insight, they bring clarity to these problems to help unblock the designers and the developers. So to an extent, it's still necessary for them to be there. Also because, how do I put it, the entire team, the entire Scrum team needs to stay aligned. They need to stay, it's a balance, right? So when you know, how do I put it, when you know that this person is doing some work to help your work, and you are doing some work to help that person's work. So if the product owner is not regularly checking in with the team, at some point as a developer, you're going to wonder what the person's function there is, right? Because you only see the person maybe, like you said, doing the sprint planning. You're like, is it just this one time this person does something and goes away? It's going to raise questions in some people's head that they may not ever air, but it's more respectful when you know, okay, this is how this person is contributing to the team, this is how I'm contributing, this is how this person, everybody is showing how they contribute to get this work done. Everybody is aware of what every other person is doing. So there's alignment across the members of the Scrum team.
All right. So, can I ask a question? Just the last one.
I guess so, yeah, you can ask.
Okay. So how tasking is it? I don't know if you do the work of a business analyst, doing the work of operations, because sometimes some companies, especially in Nigeria, believe that you as a project manager knows everything about the project. Outside the country, I believe a lot of companies actually have the operations team. So we have the business analyst, even data analyst, any other team that can help with marketing and operations, right? Business part. But in Nigeria, I noticed that a lot of companies will expect you to do a lot of it, and that's really that's one of the reasons why we don't really have a standard job description. So I don't know if you do that kind of, if your role if that's what you do in your role, or you just manage the team that actually develop. So if you do that, how tasking is it for you as a product manager?
So in reality, like I said again, a product manager, that you said it already, it's not, the role is not defined as beautifully as it is outside Nigeria, probably even outside Africa. You're expected to do the business analyst role to an extent. You're expected to do your product management role. You're expected to do Scrum Master role. You're expected to do a number of roles. Just falls into being the product manager. The main goal, or the main way I try to see it anyway, is that my role as a product manager with this product is to make sure that the product's vision comes to life. So everything that I can do to bring this vision to life, I can do it, and I will do it. Everything that involves the why, especially, not necessarily the how. You leave the how for the technical people to do it, right? Then you focus on the why, explaining these things to people, why we're doing what we're doing, why we are doing it this way, and things like that. So yes, I do the business analyst role. It's in your job description. Each company, when they're recruiting, they have a different job description than what another person has. So it's up to you as a PM to understand what your job description really is in this company before you accept an offer and function there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a question on my end. So the question is from Temitope. Temitope is currently in a noisy place and is asking. So I'll read this question. As a newbie, I have been hearing of Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, and so on the job board. How is this different from a PM, or can a PM apply for these roles as advertised?
So the roles you're seeing is what exactly? I'm not clear on that. Are you seeing a Scrum Master role? Are you saying if you see a Scrum Master?
Okay, I think the person is
Mrs.
trying to ask. I think the person is trying to ask in all of this sentence that how do you know the difference between how do you know the difference between a Scrum Master and a product manager when a job is being advertised? How do you tend to know that okay, you are getting into a product management? I feel like the person is coming from that part where some companies put in all of these things together. Like you said, you're a scrum master, you're a product owner, and you're a product manager. So how do you get to know that okay, you're seeing this job description, you have to do the job of a scrum master, you have to do the job of a product manager, and you have to do the job of a scrum master and a product manager, as this person puts it.
Yeah, so if you don't see it already in the job description or in the title, like they don't clearly say, oh, we're hiring for a scrum master, we're hiring for a product manager, you can always ask, right? You can ask the recruiters, whoever that is advertising that job to you, ask them, okay, so what team am I going to be functioning in? What's the team structure like? Is there a product manager on the team? Is there a product owner on the team? Is there a scrum master on the team? You ask this question so you know where you're going to fit in, right? And you know what is expected of you when you do join this company, if you do join the company. It's also a thing of reading your job description to really understand how they want it to function. And you need to ask questions because sometimes what is written in job description is copy and paste from other places, right? Recruiters can be, I would say, lazy like that to just copy and paste a job description. But during the interview, you need to inquire from whoever is interviewing you, whoever is recruiting you, to know what is expected of you. Also read whatever offer letters you get. Your job descriptions are usually also stated in the offer letters, right? And that at that point is more fine-tuned to the project or the product you're going to be working on. So you will know if you're in charge of product vision, if you're in charge of product strategy, if you're in charge of liaising with operations team. It's usually highlighted in those offer letters. And if it's not, you can request that they do these things so that you don't enter a team and then they expect you to do everything. At some point, they will even expect you to write code. You'd be surprised. They'll tell you, oh, they are technical PMs. Shouldn't you be a technical PM? Some funny things happen in this industry. So ask questions, I would say. Get it written down if you can. If an offer letter shows it, get it written down what your roles and your responsibilities are supposed to be so that you know what you're functioning as. All right.
I believe that answered Timitope's question. Let's have Osezua Osume. Osezua, please unmute yourself.
All right, thank you very much, Lydia. I did appreciate your training. It's much appreciated. So I have just a single